I've spent the last 20 years raising funds and awareness for breast cancer. And the reason I got so involved is that when I started working for the Estee Lauder companies, they just started their breast cancer awareness campaign. And the founder, Evelyn Lauder, asked me to help her with a new campaign she had. And I said, well, of course, what is it? I just said, well, it's for breast cancer, Elizabeth, because I think that women all over the world are dying of breast cancer and nobody's talking about it. And when she said that, I realised that that's very much the experience that my family had gone through with my grandmother, who had just died of breast cancer, because at the time it was just a subject which we didn't talk about. The pink ribbon hadn't been invented, magazine covers didn't talk about breast cancer. There would never have been a show like your show where we sat here talking about breast cancer, and we didn't know anything about it. And when my grandmother found her lump, she was in her late 70s by then. She was so embarrassed and frightened. She didn't tell anybody for a few years. So by the time she did finally pluck up courage to tell her doctor, way before she told her family, it had progressed to a stage where it wasn't really treatable. And it was very, very sad. So when Evelyn Lauder told me about her campaign, I joined in, and I have to say, over the last 20 years, there's been the most phenomenal breakthrough in awareness for breast cancer, and in the treatments and in the diagnosis. There's been a great improvement, but obviously there's still a great way to go.
How did it make you feel that it wasn't talked about in your family? Because as I say, that was a common experience, but obviously if it's not talked about, you can't help that person. And then in hindsight, it can lead to regret.
I feel sadder and sadder in hindsight, especially now. You know, we have this wonderful book called Afterwards this year, which is breast cancer survivors and people going through treatment talking about their experiences and what they're going through. And I just wish so much that we'd known all that when my grandmother was ill and suffering and scared. I wish we'd been able to talk about all the things which we do talk about now. And, you know, we hear from survivors, and for some people, it really helps them a lot to know they're not alone, to hear what other people are going through, and to discuss different ways that they can deal with the very traumatic things they're going through. And there wasn't that help 20 years ago. So we have moved a huge way forward, but we're just so concerned now that more women, more people join in and can be heard and can listen to what other people have to say, as well as, of course, we're still telling people about the disease if they don't yet know much about it. And also, of course, as it happens, also, of course, a very important thing, raising funds still, so that one day there will be a time when there is no more breast cancer.